This is
Make It Plain.
Make It Plain.
MIP
With Masamela Matfumo.
Mark Thompson.
Make It Plain.
Get woke.
It is so great to be here with everybody. My name is Reverend Dr. Theoharis. I'm the co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, as also the director of the Cairo Center for Religions, Rights, and Social Justice. And we have heard a call to action today, a call to engage in nonviolent, moral fusion direct action, a call to put ourselves out there and say, we are the ones who are going to defend this democracy. We're going to expand voting rights. We're going to make this country work for everyone, because it has been for far too long that 140 million people are living in poverty, or one crisis, one healthcare crisis, one storm, one climate crisis, one job loss away from economic ruin. We are saying no. Now is the time for us to keep the pressure up. And so we are launching today and have already a season, 28 days of organizing, of mobilizing, and engaging in nonviolent direct action. I'm going to pull up right now some instructions, some of this call in that we're launching today. You can go to poorpeoplescampaign.org and make sure that you use that tool to call your senators, right? Put people on notice. It does not have to be this way. We can end this filibuster. We can pass all of the provisions of the For the People Act. We can expand voting rights, and we can and need to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour immediately. And then we can keep on fighting and winning so much more for this great nation. So please make those calls. And please make sure you sign up to be a part of this season of nonviolent action. I'm going to introduce now Attorney Shailly Gupta Barnes, the policy director for the Poor People's Campaign, who's going to tell us yet again about the powerful witness and action that we're organizing next Monday for our next Moral Monday. So Shailly, welcome. So glad you're here, and let's hear about what's going on.
Thank you, Reverend Liz. Next Monday, as we started to hear, we're going to have an action as part of this season of action led by women for this call to end the filibuster, to pass and expand our voting rights, and to ensure living wages for all by beginning with $15 an hour. And this comes out of, the recognition that after the historic turnout in the 2020 elections, when poor and low income voters, when minority voters, when, we turned out in the numbers, when a multiracial democracy was emerging and calling for all of this and more, there's been this unprecedented wave of voter suppression. Hundreds of bills in 48 states, almost every state in the country has introduced some bill to restrict the right to vote and participate in this democracy. 17 of those states have enacted those restrictions. And if you look at this relationship, none of those 17 states have $15 an hour. In fact, only 4 of them have wages above the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. That means all of them, every single one of those states that has passed voter restrictions, are poverty wage states. This is the place. Suppress the vote so you can continue to suppress the wages. So you can force people, and especially women and women of color, poor women of color, into low wage jobs and low wage work. So the ability to provide for our families and everyone we care for in our communities declines. And so on July 19th, the anniversary of the first women's rights convention in the country, the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848, 100 women who are representing millions of women will take up this call from 173 years ago. Women from this campaign, from across our states, poor women, low-wage women, women clergy from the major faith denominations, and dozens of national partner organizations, we will all come together to show the resolve we must have in this moment and inspire another generation, this generation and more to follow, to join us and take action so we can continue to fight for the right to fully participate in this democracy and shape and inform what that truly means. So from Seneca Falls to today, we're going to move forward together and not one step back.
Thank you so much, Shailly. And now it's my honor to introduce Marianne Smith out of Oklahoma, who will be a part of that Women's March, who is a leader in our Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. Marianne, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. It's an honor, and it's nice to see you again, Rev Liz. I'm the tri-chair of the Oklahoma Poor, one of the tri-chairs of the Oklahoma Poor People's Campaign. I'm a 62-year-old widow who moved from California to Oklahoma. I live on disability because of some genetic blood disorders, and my medications to keep me alive, even with Medicare and supplemental insurance, cost me $300 a month. The cost of living goes up every year. The cost of my medications go up every year, but my income doesn't rise at the same level. This is an issue that needs to be remedied by our government immediately. I'm one of the lucky ones. I have insurance. I'm way willing to and anxious and prepared and proud to be representing Oklahoma next week in Washington, D.C., because I'm a daughter, I'm a mother. 5 of my 6 grandchildren are young ladies. Just like my parents wanted everything better for me, I want what's better for the generations to come. I've seen a decline in the opportunities, and that's not what we need. So that's not progress. Oklahomans, women and children in particular, need their voices heard by those who actually have the wherewithal to level the playing field. We're not asking for more than anyone else, but rather we're demanding equal rights, women's rights, justice rights, voting rights. Our children are watching and learning, and they're depending on us. So I look forward. Yeah.
That is sure right. And Oklahoma, your state, Marianne, is one of the 17 states that have already passed these voter suppression laws. And so we see the connection between poverty, between women's issues, between immigration and voting rights. And so, again, we want to remind everybody that's online with us today and anyone that's seeing this broadcast later today, please call your senators. Please put the White House on notice that we demand an end to this racist filibuster. We demand the expansion of voting rights and the full, all of the provisions passed for the People Act. And we demand immediately raising the minimum wage. And so we also are demanding this, knowing that we have to take action. We're taking action next Monday with this Women's Moral Monday. We're taking action in 45 states across the country on July 26th, engaging in nonviolent moral direct action. And so I want to introduce and welcome Michael Marshall from the New York Poor People's Campaign to share why we have to organize and why we have to fight and why you're a part of this work. Thanks so much for being with us today, Michael.
Good afternoon. We here at the New York State Poor People's Campaign fully embrace this season of direct action. We stand wholly united with our brothers and sisters throughout the United States. Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand, we demand immediate end to the filibuster. We demand full passage of the For the People Act. We demand full restoration of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, and we demand an increase to the $15 per hour for the minimum wage. We have for far too long, somebody has been hurting my people. As a child growing up in the 1960s, I witnessed your institutions unleash violence upon people of color with attack dogs, bully clubs, and fire hoses. We merely wanted the same constitutional rights as other American citizens, access and equal rights to education, housing, and voting. We have fought and engaged in a long, hard battle for justice within the courts of law, only to see our tenuous victories constantly under attack and stripped away in both state and courthouses throughout the country. We have engaged in civil disobedience demanding justice from the Jim Crow laws, only to be re-victimized by an entirely new system of racial injustice perpetrated by James Crow Esquire. We have met you in the streets, across the bridges, and at the ballot box. Yet within your institutions of powers, you still deny our constitutional rights, thus trying to destroy our humanity. I have seen the struggle play out over my entire lifetime. Not only has it gone on far too long, but the tools and the impact of oppression are far worse today than they were 50 years ago. Let it be known, in this season of moral direct action, we are not only elevated on the shoulders of our ancestors who have paved the path towards liberation, but in our faith, we call upon their discernment and wisdom to lead us forward. As we push on, we will not be deterred nor divided. We stand united as one. We no longer accept the false narratives of class, race, and gender wars. We are not interested in polemical discussions or passive wait and see failed approach. Together, we marshal our strength and power to emerge as a force of reckoning. We heed our moral call with clear and concise demands. We shift the paradigms of power through critical analysis and sustainable policies as articulated in our resolution for the third Reconstruction. Today, we demand the passage for the People Act.
More MIP after this message.
Forward together, not one step back. Thank you so much. It's so powerful to be here, hearing from states and leaders across the country about why we have to engage in this kind of season, this season of nonviolent civil disobedience, this season of moral direct action, this season of saying, we're going to stand up for voting rights. We're going to stand up for economic democracy. We're going to stand up for the rights of the 140 million people who are poor and low income in this country. I want to now introduce Reverend Carolyn Foster from Alabama, home of the fights for voting rights many, many years ago. And we have fewer voting rights today than we did, despite the fact that people have lost their lives fighting for those voting rights. Carolyn, thank you for being with us. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and forward together.
Thank you, Reverend Liz. I am just so excited to be here. My name is Reverend Carolyn Foster. I am serving as one of the chairs for the Alabama Poor People's Campaign. And you are right. The Shelby County v. Holder decision of 8 years ago gutted the Voting Rights Act. And sadly, Shelby County is right here in my home state of Alabama. The Shelby v. Holder decision and other legislative acts and legal decisions at the federal and state level have severely restricted the ability of people of color, especially poor Blacks, Latinx, and Native people. Participation in the democratic process has been greatly impeded. Voter suppression silences the people, it sequesters our power, and undermines the basic tenets of our democracy and what has been promised to us in the Constitution of the United States, which is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, I don't know about you, but I am not happy. I am not happy that despite the Civil Rights Act of 1957, 1960, 1964, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, justice is still not a reality for us. I am not happy that the gutting of the Voting Rights Act was just a pathway to many other forms of voter suppression laws and tactics, such as racist gerrymandering, redistricting, restricting early voting and voting hours, purging voter rolls, closing polling stations, and instituting erroneous voter ID laws. I am not happy that since the 2020 elections, 43 states have introduced over 250 new bills that further restrict and limit mail-in votings. I am not happy that policymakers have successfully pushed the myth of widespread voter fraud, and they restrict voting blocks that features large numbers of voters of colors and poor of the poor, creating barriers to voting along race and class lines. That is why it is imperative that we mobilize over the next several weeks and today call our senators to say, we are not happy. And that is why I will be joining the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival in this season of nonviolent, moral, direct action, demanding that Congress end the filibuster, pass all provisions of the For the People Act, fully restore the 1965 Voting Rights Act, and to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. As we know, we only get what we are organized to take. So in the spirit of that old civil rights movement of old that says we're going down to the rich man's house or the courthouse or the White House or Congress, wherever, we're going to take back what they stole from us. And that is why it is so important that you call your senator today and join in these 28 days of more direct action, because we are all going forward together and not one step back.
Forward together, not one step back. Thank you so much.
More MIP after this message.
It's powerful to be here online. It's going to be even more powerful when we're taking action together next Monday with this Moral Mondays Women's March, the following Monday on July 26th, when 45 states across these United States take action, calling out on our senators to say, you can do this. It does not have to be this way. We can end this filibuster. We can raise wages. We can protect voting rights. We can expand them. And that will save the soul of this impoverished democracy. And then we're still getting ready to go even farther, because on August 2nd, as we approach the 56th anniversary of the passage of the Voting Rights Act, workers and religious leaders, poor people, and others of conscience across the country will converge yet again on Washington, D.C. to engage in nonviolent direct action. And here to say more about that is Reverend Kazimir Brown. Thank you so much for being here and for all the work you're doing organizing this powerful event.
Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Theoharis. Yes, on August 2nd, we are coming together. We are continuing the season of action. So we need everybody here. We need you in the streets and we need you online. August 2nd, we're organizing a massive nonviolent moral direct action. And this is going to be with clergy, with faith leaders, with religious leaders, and poor and low wage workers coming together and saying it is not about left versus right. It is about right versus wrong. And what is right is us ending this immoral filibuster. What is right is the passage of the full Voting Rights Act. What is right is the passage of the full For the People Act. What is right is to pay people $15 an hour for a minimum wage to start. These are the issues. These are the issues that we can move forward and push forward. And we know it is possible. So we need everybody here on August 2nd. Visit us on poorpeoplescampaign.org to get more information, to sign up, to call your senators, to keep the pressure, to sign the open letter. We are gathering everybody because everybody's voice counts. Everybody in, nobody out. We'll see you throughout this whole Moral Monday, and we'll also see you on August 2nd.
That's right. Everybody in, nobody out. Everybody in, nobody out. I want to remind people one more time, please, please, please make these calls. We have a massive call in already. Tens of thousands of people from all kinds of organizations throughout this nation are calling your senators saying, we need to end this filibuster, saying we need to protect and expand voting rights. We need to pass all of the provisions of the For the People Act, and we need to raise the minimum wage. So we can start paying these essential workers essential wages, the things that they can afford, all the essentials of life and even more. And so you can still call in. You can engage in that action that we're doing today by going to poorpeoplescampaign.org and following the prompts and making sure that you make your voice heard. Make sure that you get the word out that we the people are indeed organizing and mobilizing, and we're engaging in this season. The season that we launched today, 28 days of nonviolent direct action. One of my favorite quotes from the Reverend Dr. King from the last year of his life as he was organizing a Poor People's Campaign that we've learned a lot from today as we have a Poor People's Campaign, a national call for more revival, is about the need to engage in nonviolent civil direct action. The need to put ourselves out there, say we can build a just society. We can have everybody in and nobody out, but it's going to take brigades of ambulance drivers. It's going to take people putting themselves out there saying, this ends today, and we're going to make sure that it can be better. And so he talked about how there was a fire raging for poor people, for Black people in this country. And this was, 56 years ago, 57 years ago. He talked about how we're called to engage in driving through the red lights of a system that has allowed for 250,000 people to die from poverty every year in the richest country in the world, from a system, from a society that is denying the right to vote, even though it was established to be a government of and for and by the people. He said that we can and we must sign up brigades of ambulance drivers who are willing to drive through the red lights of the present system until the emergency is solved. Well, there is an emergency going on right now, an emergency of our democracy, an emergency amongst poor and low-income people, an emergency where wages are so low and people cannot afford the basic living expenses, where people are being ravaged by storms and climate change, and who is hurt first and worst are always poor people, people of color, and those that are marginalized by society. And so we are here taking action together, launching the season of Moral Fusion Direct Action. So please, please, please sign up, get involved, take action, be the change that you're looking to see in the world, and be a part of it with this Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. Somebody has been hurting our people. Somebody has been denying us the right to vote. Somebody has been making folks homeless, paying people low wages, denying health care. It's gone on for far too long. And we the people won't be silent anymore. Please join us, engage with us, and make those calls now. Tens and tens and tens of thousands of people are calling. You're one in the numbers as you go marching in to say, we can save this democracy. It's up to us. And we're going to engage in this season of action. Forward together. Forward together. Forward together. Not one step back. Not one step back. We're going to keep on organizing and mobilizing and engaging. Thank you for being a part of this movement. Thank you for building a powerful movement that says that we can live in a better life, right? That we can end this filibuster. We can enact all the full provisions of this For the People Act. We can expand voting rights. We can protect the Voting Rights Act, and we can raise wages so that people can thrive in society and not just merely survive. Thank you for being with us today. Thanks for everyone that was in Washington, D.C., and thanks especially to folks that are gathering all across this country. Forward together.
Not one step back.
Step back.
Not one step back.
Thanks for getting woke and listening to Make It Plain. Please remember to listen, like, and wherever you get your podcasts, please give the show a 5-star rating. And please do spread the word. Let's all continue to pray for each other during this pandemic and this police-demic. If all hearts and minds are clear, it has been made plain.